a fantastic venue and we're really looking forward to the winter ahead.
Absolutely perfect sailing here. It's really, really nice.
We have 4 girls teams and 3 boys teams, all quite new to it. Just a lot of technique work.
Sunny, lots of sailing.
Good wind, good friendly people, and lots of Irish bars.
Here we are back in Vilamoura. We have a quick view over the race course. They're going to start upwind and they will go around the top mark and back downwind to the gate near the starting line, back up another windward leg and then into a reach to mark number 2 and into a downwind leg for mark 3P around and a small reach to the finish. This will be the race course for the women's fleet. It will be the second start of the day. We're going to follow the first start, which will be the men, and we are going to then chase the women going upwind for their race number 6. We are now on the starting procedure. The wind is very light. It's about 5 knots of breeze. Less than a minute to go. "15 seconds. We can hear the tension.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And that's the start. The Japanese starting from the committee end and going straight into attack. It looks like it was a clear start. Ok, se eles agora quando we're just gonna follow the men's fleet just briefly before the women's go into their starting procedure. Hopefully we will follow the men's race number 7 after the women's are finished. Light conditions here. 6 knots from 240. We have some teams tacked to the right hand side after the start. You see the Turks, they are looking okay. Our cameraman in the water, they have to be very careful not to interfere with the sailors, but still we can have this beautiful shot over the fleet. Trying to read the race course here. Question is it going to be more breeze on the left, or are we going to see the wind bend a little bit to the right? Something's going on here. I see a committee boat going through the course and a Spanish boat going back, and the Hungarian. We might have a little delay here on this start. Might be due to a wind shift. I'm going to try and find out and come back to you as soon as possible. It is confirmed race number 6 was abandoned. The fleet will sail back to the starting line. It seems that we had a wind shift to the left, and our race officer Nino Shmueli decided to send the fleet back to the start, thinking that that was not a fair race for the sailors. It's the priority for our race officer to give the fleet the best possible conditions. We need a steady wind from the start. Any major wind shifts just before the start, and our race officer will call it off and restart. We are going to wait a little bit for the next start and give you a little footage from Vilamoura. Stand by.
It's a perfect place for training during the winter for us because we have the sun and we have very good condition of wind and swell.
Yeah, it's perfect. You can imagine when we leave from France, we have our boat in front, and it was snowing. So when we arrived here, it was perfect. Lovely place and good weather also. Yeah.
It's amazing. Like we cannot have these conditions back home. We have snow right now and ice cold. So this is obviously some of the best places we've been.
We here is for training, 49er boats. It's a really great place because many boats here, it's like almost 40 boats. It's good to train with other boats.
Yeah, it's a great place to sail at. Yeah, the conditions are nice. We had some good windy days, we had some good light winds days, and we enjoy the weather. It's snowing right now in Austria, and we prefer to stay here with the shorts.
The facilities are pretty decent. It's all right. You can get your bath if you want, and the slipway is extremely nice. It's so pleasant. It's a big slipway. You can get a lot of boats in and out. The conditions out of the water are pretty good. Had all kinds of wind. We had heavy days and really light days, so I find that that's nice.
It's also an easy place with the ramp, and it's easy to go outside. In few minutes we are outside, and in few minutes we come back. So for us, we win a lot of times to be there. So yeah, it's a good place. Yeah.
Our goal is always to have a lot of hours on the water and good practice, and definitely the weather here is so nice. So we get to go and sail every day, and it has been really good. But on top of that, I think it's important that it's a nice place to be, and I think Portuguese people are very hospitable, and the food is lovely. So we've enjoyed it a lot.
We had two specific goals. The first one is to come and train with other boats, because for the moment in Oman we're not many people. We need many boats training there, and so we would like to share first with other boats. And for the second reason, it's for sure to train in south of Europe, because on your place we hear about your place, and we would like to come here for the weather, for the accommodation, for everything you have here.
Our goal is basically to have as many hours on the water as possible. At home we cannot sail, it's too cold. And I think we already succeed our goal, because we've been sailing so much and have had so many hours.
We wanted to work many aspects, but especially technical aspect. So it was very good so we wanted to make a lot of volume of sailing. So we make sometimes one session in the morning and one session in the afternoon. So we make a lot of time on the water and repeat the technical aspect, make starts and speak about sails, mast, a lot of things, yeah.
Well, so far we experienced Portugal people as a very polite and welcoming people, and we really like staying here.
We love Portugal, we love the hospitality here, and obviously the sailing conditions are very, very good, and that's why we are here basically. We like that it's a nice place to be, but the sailing conditions are the best in my opinion in Europe for what we're doing right now.
Vilamoura sailing, we love it.
Here we are back in action with the 470 class men for race number 6 of the 470 World Championships in Vilamoura. Our race committee had to abandon the race after the start due to a wind shift. We can see now that it's coming a little bit further left on the race course. We're getting close to the start. Still more than a minute to go. We have here, after 5 races, the Spanish team Jordi and Nicolas leading with 11 points, and the Swedish Anton and Frederick second on 13, and the Russians Pavel and Denis on 15. This is the fight for the World Championships, but we also have other fights during this regatta. One of them very important is the Olympic qualification for 1 slot left, and there are few countries fighting for that slot. One of them is Portugal, with the Costa brothers on 4th place. They are actually leading this fight from the Swiss that are actually 6th overall at the moment, Kilian and Gregoire. The Portuguese 6 points ahead of the Swiss. And after that is the Israelis on 8th place, Maur and Yoav on 29 points. Germany is also not qualified yet with 30 points. We also have Hungary a little bit further back, 17th, and the Austrians in 19th. We can see here probably still a pin end bias on the line. Most of the boats are trying to fight for that pin position. We can see from the land that the committee boat and the gate on the right hand side of your screen, that's where they're gonna go around after a bit and a downwind leg. Here we have the race course for the men's fleet. Actually, this is the course for the women fleet that we are going to follow after the start of the men. The men will actually go first to that mark number 2, and the women will actually do the downwind leg first to the gate 4S 4P. So basically it's a upwind leg for the women will be a upwind leg, downwind, another upwind into a reach. Here we go, back to the starting line, less than a minute to go. A lot of boats on the pin end. And that's the start. This is the men's fleet, race number 6, leg 1. German team, Simon and Philip starting at the committee boat, going straight into attack. Followed by the Italians here on this side. This is the men's fleet. Few teams have tacked to the right. Like I said before, there's two question marks on this race course today. Is if we're going to see more pressure on the left, or if the wind will shift to the right a little bit with the sun, and then the right hand side will be more favored. A good indicator is if we see here German team going forward on the Italians. Normally that means that there's this little bend to the right hand side. But it looks like the boats to windward looking a little bit higher than the Germans. So maybe we do have a little bit better pressure on the left, but still some teams decided to tack to the right, even from that left hand side of the course. The Hungarians looking like they have a good pace. I've heard they're really good in these light conditions, very, very fast. They didn't have the best start in this regatta. They are lying now 17th overall, and they need some good results to get back on this fight for the last Olympic slot for Tokyo. My perspective is that the left-hand side might be a little bit stronger than this right-hand side. I believe the Germans, they had a good start, and the Italians, good start from the committee boat, but maybe not the best option. Yeah, we can see the angle of the boats tacking onto starboard. They don't look that hot, and it seems like the boats on the left might have a little edge on these boats here on the right hand side of the course. So we wonder whenever this Hungarian team here goes for attack, if they are able to cross the fleet or not. Information here from the race committee. UFT, it was not a clear start. UFT Brazil 27 and USA 1835. We are going to go back to the start to follow the start of the women's team in a minute. That was the start for the men's fleet. They are going upwind. I'm pretty sure the girls are looking at the men to see who's doing better, if it's on the left or the right hand side. Our perspective here is maybe the left hand is a little bit stronger, but let's see how the wind develops through the day, through this race. Be able to find out who made the best option on the race course, who did the better homework to read this race course and understand which side Spain. Beautiful view here over the race course. Footage from the land. We are going to go to the women's start in just a minute. Meanwhile, I can give you the overall score of the women. So it's a Spanish team leading from the French. Spanish Sylvia and Patricia leading from Camille and Aloise. 13 points for the Spanish, 18 points for the French. Israel following just 2 points behind the French, Noya and Shahar on 20 points. And then Italy 6, Elena and Bianca on 24, and Nadine and Anne-Christine from Germany on 25 points. We can see here all the coach boats and a view over the starting line for the women. I have asked our cameraman to go to the pin because we might see more teams fighting for that side of the line, trying to fight for that left side of the course. I could be wrong, but with these conditions from the south, quite often the left is strong. We see here the Spanish team. They are actually fighting for this pin. They're closer to the pin end. We also see the Italians, Elena and Bianca. Another interesting fight in this women's fleet is also for the last slot available for the Olympics. It's 2.5 minutes for the start, I just heard. But this fight for the Olympic slot left is between the Turkish, the Greek and the Russians. At the moment the Turkish are in a good position, but it's quite tight. They're actually a little bit further back in the fleet. The Turkish 19th overall, the Greeks 22nd and the Russians on 23rd position. So we can see the boats moving around the starting line, around 2 minutes to go, and they need to position themselves so that they can manage to hit that starting line close to the gun in a good position with no interference from the other boats. It's a very critical part of the race in sailing. It's so important to get this position right. Italians looking good here to win the pin. We see the Dutch trying to go to leeward of them. Here we go on the race course again. The women will go upwind and downwind to the gate. Again upwind to back to mark number 1 and a reach to mark number 2. After that they will go downwind to 3P, around that, and a small reach to the finish. Here we are back in action here, both Italian teams fighting for the pin. Elena and Bianca doing a good job. Tricky part is that if they drop too much, they won't lay the pin, so they're trying to get the height there on the Dutch team. Aphrodite and Lopka struggling a little bit to hold that position. 20 seconds for the start. USA looks like over the line, a couple of boats over the line. Argentina also. Well, we can see here our race officer probably abandoned this start because too many teams over the line. We will just confirm that in a second. Yes, it's confirmed. AP flag up. They postponed the start. Too many teams were over the line. So they will have to restart this race. It's a good job from the Italians on the pin end Spanish also had a good start. They didn't look over the line. I think it was more the boats in the middle of the line that crossed the line early.
E essa tripulação aí, a Argentina é a que estava fora, é que começou isto tudo. A nossa à frente.
I can see here some questions on the chat asking for the results of the mark rounding on mark number 1. I will try to get that information to you. Regarding the women, we had the U flag and some teams were over the line. We will have some information soon about what teams crossed the line early. I have to make a little correction here. The Olympic qualification is just it's one slot for the European teams only. Thank you, Dimitris. We have here on our screen the Spanish team leading the overall scores with 13 points. Silvia and Patricia. I had a chat with their coach this morning, Gustavo Martinez, former 470 sailor as well. I did sail against them back in the 90s. 25 kilos ago when we were all young and fit. And they've been working really hard. Now the Spanish team leading both fleets, men and women. There he is, Gustavo. That's the coach, that's the Spanish coach. He's very proud on his girls. He's giving them a few tips on the race course. Probably he's been looking at the men's fleet and trying to figure out what happened on that first beat for their fleet. We just had the gun for 5-minute gun. So we're less than 5 minutes to the start. Ok.
Olha, a ver o enfiamento sempre, portanto, estão a ver o enfiamento com o barco de Zurique. Estão a ver a linha de trânsito em terra. A ver o enfiamento agora, os alemães.
4 minutes for the start. We just heard the gun. Getting our cameraman in position to follow this race, to follow this pre-start for the women's fleet. Race number 6. I believe that our PRO Nino Shmueli or Miguel Amaral just readjusted the line a little bit. It looks like might be a committee bias at the moment. We don't see the pin end as busy as before. Little problem with our camera. We're gonna be back very shortly. We can see the men's fleet going downwind, probably already past mark number 2. I will try to get some information on the men, but our team is very busy trying to get this women's fleet off to their race number 6. But I promise you guys that our spectators that as soon as I can get some information from the men's fleet, I will forward that. I have some information on the men's fleet. Mark rounding, we managed to get the top 4. It was Spain leading from Austria, Italy, and Brazil. But Brazil, I believe, was UFT at the start, so they'll get a penalty there. I'm afraid we cannot have information for the rest of the fleet. For the moment, we have Spain, Austria, Italy, and Brazil on the men's fleet. We're trying to get back to that starting line. Not far to go for the start. Had a little issue with our camera on the pin end. We're trying to get the second camera to the committee boat so we can follow this race. Here we go. Back in the race course, not far to go. The Brazilians are pushing a little bit the line and the Americans as well. And that's the start. Here we go, that's the start of women fleet race 6, leg 1. You can see here the Italians, they fought for the pin end. Elena and Bianca, good start from the pin. Also Benedetta and Alessandra starting from the pin but struggling to hold the lane there. There's a little internal fight here also because they fighting for the championship, but whoever finishes ahead in this regatta will go to the Olympics. So there's a fight here between both Italian teams as well. Benedetta and Alessandra struggling with the men's fleet just going downwind, passing through the women's fleet. Couldn't really tell who was leading that pack at the moment. It's hard to tell from this angle which side of the course is most favorable, but it looks like the boats that came from the middle of the line, or the committee boat, and coming to the left are looking in a good position. Our cameraman here trying to stay away from the Italians, not to interfere with them. It's very important for them. Looking good at the scoreboard, fourth overall for the moment. Image here from the right hand side. Doesn't look too bad from the right hand side. We have the Polish, the Ukrainian, and an American team. Sunny and warm in Vilamoura for the 470 World Championships. Feels like summer is almost here. Interesting technique here that we can see the Polish girls sailing their boat a little bit to windward. And you see a big difference to the Ukrainian. They are flat or even a little hill to leeward, and the Polish hilling a little bit to windward. Overview over the fleet. We can see much even conditions today compared to yesterday. Yesterday, very shifty conditions yesterday and gusty. A little lighter today, but much more steady from the south, from the southwest. The next start will be the mixed teams. We are not following the mixed teams yet, but we promise we will during the week see some of that action as well. I have some messages here. We cannot move around the course too much, not to interfere with the teams. So once we decide following one race, we will do that from start to end. We have here Ukrainian team Anna Kiselova and Anelina Koshova. They are 24th overall for the moment. They're trying here to hit this right hand side, try to get lucky here and get to that top mark in a good position, try to improve their overall score. See one team already tacking to the left, also followed by the Polish. Probably still not laying that mark as the Ukrainians are still heading to the right hand side. Here they go. And the Polish, they look really good from that position, crossing most of the boats that are coming on port to the right hand side. The Polish might be leading this fleet. Polish 11, Agnieszka and Jolanta. They were lying 11th overall after 5 races, looking to improve their position as well. Some teams that hit the hard left looking not so bad, but we can only tell when they get across. For the moment it looks like a very compact fleet. I will repeat, we are not going to follow the mixed teams start, but I promise we will have some coverage during the week. I remind you that the mixed teams are still not an Olympic class, and our priority is to follow here the action of the men and the women. This is an Olympic qualification for some teams, and it's a world championship for an Olympic class. We will be having 2 races today in these lighter conditions from the southwest. We can see here the Polish still getting across. Majority of the fleet could be leading this race. Very compact fleet here. Not far for the girls to get to the top mark. You can see there's no Oscar flag, and that means that the sailors are not allowed to pump and rock the boats to get extra speed. They need to be very still. The only thing they can do is trim the sails to the best and drive the boat properly, keep that boat flat. Polish looking really good. So they tacked under the ley line on the right hand side, got ahead of the fleet, and then tacked back to the right to cover, protect that position, try to find the best ley lines so they don't waste any distance. They're not that far off the ley line, we can see there. They will be tacking in a few seconds to make this mark. Perfect view here over the fleet approaching the top mark. Actually, the Americans came from the left. I didn't spot that one. And they are actually leading. Was a very even course today for this race, because the Americans came from the left and the Polish from the right, and they are 1 and 2 and mark number 1. Sailors now heading downwind. We see here some issues with the teams going around the top mark. I remind you that the boats that are coming on port tack, they have to give way. They cannot tack inside the zone if they are interfering with boats coming on starboard. The Spanish here a little bit further back, but together with the French, they are 1 and 2 overall. Oh, the Dutch team. I remember they started at the pin end. Also the Italians starting in the pin end and hitting the far left. That didn't pay. That didn't pay at all. They are now on leg number 2 of race 6. So it looks like the right hand side was the best option for this first upwind on the women's fleet. I wonder where those Americans came from, because I didn't see them on the far right near the Polish. We have our other camera just heading to the front of the fleet. Here we are. We can see the first teams. We'll try to figure out how is it looking. See some Turkish teams here, closer to the front. This is mid-fleet, looking at the French. In these light conditions, all the teams are trying to keep a clear air, defending from the boat behind, and trying to take the wind from the boat ahead, going downwind. We're gonna try to figure out here how is this front of the fleet looking. Anna Mills is in behind the Swiss there. Looks like they're having a better race. The Americans 1824 went straight for a hoist, barroway set, and the Polish went for a jibe set. They are on the other side of the course right now. We can see them on the far end. Light conditions, they have to limit their movements on the boat. They don't want to get caught pumping or rocking. Our judges are following the race very close. You can see here the Polish, they were second around the top mark. A little split on the fleet going downwind. Most teams took a barroway set and a few teams took a jibe set. The Polish led this jibe set. Let's see when they come back if they manage to get ahead of the American team. The Americans leading the race on mark number 1, Carmen and Emma. There were 13 overall after 5 races. We can see here, it looks like the Americans still ahead of the Polish. The Polish coming on starboard right of way, but the Americans clear ahead, able to get across. Swiss team also on the other side might have got ahead of the Polish. Polish going back to another jibe. Thank you, Peter, for your comments on the chat. I'm trying to read your comments. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Pedro Andrade. I sailed the 470 back in the 90s. Now I'm sailing the Dragon class, and I'll be looking forward to see some of these sailors in the future in the Dragon class as well. We do a lot of sailing here in Vilamoura. Beautiful place. Most of these teams chose to do their preparation here in Vilamoura through the winter. Due to this pandemic, it's been very quiet here in Vilamoura, so it's perfect for the sailors. They're approaching the leeward gate. We see the Americans taking the right-hand mark. They're followed by the Polish and the Swiss. The Polish will take the left-hand mark looking downwind, so it's on the right-hand side of your screen, simultaneously going around each mark, the Swiss and the Polish. Also the other American team and the Turks splitting here, followed by Great Britain and Emils, and the Greek team also following Emils on that mark. Emilia Tsufla. The other Greek team is not far behind them. This is also Olympic qualification, internal Olympic qualification for the Greek team. So they'll be fighting each other for the best position in this regatta. I remind you, Emilia Tsufla was gold medalist in 2004 in Athens, very experienced sailor, 48 years old. She is now sailing with 20 years old Ariane Paraskevi Spanaki from Greece. She's 20 and Emilia is 48 years old. So much experience there. Watching here the front of the fleet, the Americans trying to cover. It looks like the left-hand mark looking downwind on that gate was favorable, as the Polish and the Swiss, they rounded simultaneously, but the Polish seem to be ahead. A little view from the leeward side of the fleet.
Tá aqui atrás de mim.
Os suecas estão a atacar no meio.
Okay, I have an information here that the men are just about to finish their race or nearby. Actually, the men still going downwind, still a little bit away from the finish. We have here the front of the women's fleet. It's USA 1824 leading the pack. Carmen and Emma Karls. From Polish 11, Agnieszka and Jolanta. And Linda and Maya from Switzerland. But very tight here, leg number 3, race 6. We see the Italians. They had a good start from the pin, but the left didn't pay. wrong decision there. It's very, very expensive. The breeze looks like the breeze picked up a little bit. We can see them a little bit more stretch on the trapeze. Swiss coming on starboard. Decided to tack underneath the Polish. I have an information here that we might have the opportunity to see the last little bit of the race of the men's fleet. The Americans still clear ahead. The Polish, they didn't want to cross the Americans in case they tack on them. So tacking underneath the Americans, that gives them the opportunity to keep clear winds and stay in touch with the Swiss that are a little bit further right. Nice shot here from the Americans. We are going to swap our camera to the men's fleet just for a moment, just to see what's happening here. This is the men's fleet on their downwind leg. We're back in the women's fleet. We need a better shot on the men's fleet. We'll try to be back. I have the information here that the wind is bending a little bit to the left-hand side. That gives the Americans even better position. Right now the question is if the Swiss can make it across the Polish when they tack. They look fast underneath. Beautiful weather in Vilamoura. It looks like the Swiss are ahead, but I remind you that the Polish are to windward and the Swiss still have to make a tack. We can only find out who is actually ahead between them once they get across. The Americans seem to be clear ahead of both of them. So the Swiss is tacked. It doesn't look like the Polish can get across. Swiss are right of way, starboard tack. They tack underneath the Polish. We are on leg 3 of the women fleet. Still leg 3. A little correction here. So the Polish had to tack to stay clear of the Swiss, and the Swiss tacking back. The question is, where are the Americans gonna attack? If they're gonna cover the Swiss, give them some interference, some bad air, or they're gonna do a loose, looks like they're gonna do a loose cover here. Playing very fair. The Swiss and the Polish tacking a lot. Looks like the Polish looking a little bit better now. We're not that far from the top mark. Approaching the top mark. Women fleet is going now to leg number 4. They're going to start leg number 4, which is a reach. So there's no more upwind legs for the women. We have a little whistle here. Could be a change of course. Polish second managed to stay ahead of the Swiss. We have Anna Mills here coming on port. They had to dip. We're just gonna watch this few boats going around the top mark, and then we're gonna follow the finish of the men's fleet. So Anna Mills there around the mark on 5th place, and followed by a Turkish and the 2 German teams. Quite a busy top mark here. Both Greek teams very close to each other. It's a fight here for Olympic qualification. Where'd it go? We are going to swap now for the men's fleet. They're almost finished. Here we can see on your screen the Italians 757 and the Portuguese. I wonder if there's any boats further left on our screen. The Spanish were leading on race number 1, but it looks like it's the Italians now. Italy's 757, Giacomo and Giulio, could be leading this race. The Portuguese, very important for them. This is the Olympic qualification. So here we go. Last jibe for the Italians, going around the mark into a reach for the finish. Portuguese and the Spanish fighting for 2nd place in this race. It looks like there's no overlap there. I wonder if the Spanish are going to get inside. No, they're not. They weren't allowed. They couldn't. They didn't want to risk that. The Portuguese now 2nd in this race, followed by Spain. Hard for me to see those SIL numbers, but it's very compact there. On the top 10, just the Italians got a little bit away from the fleet, but 2nd the Portuguese. We're following here the front of the men's fleet. It's the finish for the men's fleet here. That's the finishing line, and it goes for Italy. 757. Giacomo Ferrari and Giulio Calabro, winners of race number 6. And we have the Costa brothers finishing 2nd in race number 6. Very important results for them. And Spain 44. Spain was 3rd, Hungary was 4th. I believe Uruguay 5th. I got a little bit lost here on this finish, but many boats crossing the finishing line almost at the same time. The fleet is very compact. You see the Swedish there. Might have finished in the top 10. I will confirm all the results. I have here Kevin Peponet as well, and the Austrians. A very compact fleet here. We are going to go back to the women's fleet. Let's just go back to that fight between the Polish and the Swiss. For 2nd place, the Americans were leading. Here we go. They already went around the mark number 2. They are now going downwind. Most of the teams just bear away. Not many teams decided to go for a jibe. Oh, it looks like Oscar flag. That was the whistle we heard on the top mark. It was the Oscar flag, and now the teams are allowed to pump and rock those boats. That's why now we see them so active, trying to get more speed. Wow, you look at that shot over the fleet, you see all the masts rocking back and forward. Confirmation here, top 5 on that race number 6 for the men was Italy 757, Portugal 21, Spain 44, Hungary 1, and Greece 1. The Americans already went for a jibe. The Swiss, they jibed earlier, tried to make a move on the Polish, sorry. Great technique here from the Americans. Carmen and Emma Cowles. Most of the top teams overall are not looking that good on this race number 6. I believe most of them chose to go left on the first beat. We found out later that the right hand side of the course worked much better. But with this increasing breeze, I believe the second beat, the left might have paid. That's sailing. They need to choose before the start what is their strategy. If they want to protect the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the course. The Americans, the Polish and the Swiss, they played it better on the right-hand side on the first beat. Got an edge on the rest of the fleet. And after that they just had to protect their positions to finish ahead. Not so many overtaking opportunities in this race course today, as the wind is much steadier.
Quem tá na frente? A bandeira. Tem uma visão.
So on the men's fleet we have Brazil 27 and USA 1835. They were over the line. Women fleet was clear, and mixed teams GBR 11 also over the line. Vita and Ryan. The mixed teams are coming. I believe they are still going upwind on their second upwind. The wind dropping a little bit here on the leeward side of this course. Going downwind. Still the Americans leading. It was a close fight between the Swiss and the Polish. The Polish are probably on our left-hand side. The Polish, they didn't jibe as early as the Americans. They are a little bit further left on our screen, and they'll be coming this way. We can see them on our screen now. Americans still clear ahead. They're rocking really hard, the boats, trying to get more speed. The Polish still ahead of the Swiss here. And we see them crossing jibes. Going downwind, the boats ahead, they have to try and keep clear from the boats behind to have clear winds. And the boats behind, they're always trying to give the boat ahead some interference. Here the Swiss a little bit to leeward of the Americans. So the Americans protecting well the position. So this is race number 6 of the first 70 World Championships. The men already finished their race number 6. The overall scores will be available soon. And this race for the women, not that far to the finish. Americans jibing here. The Swiss jibing inside the Americans, trying to take some wind, interfere a little bit with the Americans' winds if they are close enough, but it doesn't look like they're close enough. Now they'll be looking at the fight with the Polish. It looks like there's a little overlap there. The Polish, they are inside. If there's an overlap, they are inside. That's right. Very close here. But the Polish had the inside rights. The Swiss could not close the door on them. This is the women's fleet. They're approaching the last mark rounding before the finish. It's leg 6 of race number 6. Final leg, the Americans, perfect race. They choose the best side of the course on the first beat, middle right. And they led from the start. Carmen and Emma Cowles, that is going to improve their overall score with this bullet. They were 13 overall. The Polish and the Swiss were fighting for second, and I believe the Polish had the best out of the Swiss. I wonder where are all those top teams, those top 5 teams from the overall from yesterday. We can't see many of them here in the front. Most of them must have chosen the left side of the course on that first beat, and that didn't pay. Good opportunity for other teams to get closer on points. This will be the finish here. Very close between the Turkish and the Greek for the 4th place, 4th and 5, and then we have Germany 69 in 6, Germany 20 in 7, Greece 7 in 8th place. I believe there's another boat there that I couldn't see. And 1836 USA finishing the top 10. Here we have the leaders, 12th, and we're shortly gonna go for an interview on the winners of this race number 6 for the women. Brazil 177, Fernando Oliveira finishing here around 15th with her crew Anna Barbashan. The Italians, I feel sorry for them. They had a good start from the pin. Here we are with the Americans.
Congratulations, girls. Was it a hard victory for you to get?
I think we were just focused on speed and playing the shifts and just keeping it simple.
Was it good for you with this light wind conditions?
We like all wind conditions, but so far today's been a great day, so yes. Each wind speed has its own challenges, and we try to sail the boat in the right direction towards the mark and keep our boat fast.
Okay, girls, thank you so much, and congratulations once again. Bye-bye.
We are here in Vilamoura for the 470. We just interviewed the winners of race number 6 on the women fleet. USA 1836 winning that last race. We're gonna go for a small break and give you some nice images from Vilamoura. Stand by, we'll be back soon. Here we are back in Vilamoura for the 470 World Championships 2021. We have finished race number 6 and we are waiting now for race number 7. We are already on the starting procedure for race number 7 for the men. We have here the course for the men. It will be the outer loop. It's going to be an upwind leg to mark number 1 and then a reach to mark number 2 and a downwind leg to the gate, back upwind to mark number 2, and then straight downwind and into the finish. And we're going to be back in action with the start of the men. We're here in the starting procedure. I'm getting some nice messages here, people appreciating this live coverage in Vilamoura. We are close to the start for the men, race number 7. I believe I just heard a sound signal that could be the last minute now. The Italians, they won the first race today. They won race number 6 and they're now fighting for the pin. Great job on the first race. There was Giacomo and Giulio. We're now taking a shot from the committee side. We can see the Spanish, the overall leaders now. Well, they were already this morning.
26 seconds to go.
Consolidated their lead after second place.
Seconds to the start.
After third place. Here we go for the start very shortly. But they're starting to accelerate.
9,
10 seconds for the
8,
start.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's the start, and that's an AP.
Postponed.
AP flag.
The race has been postponed.
But probably the race committee couldn't identify all the boats that were over the line. Decided to go for an AP. So we're going to see all the boats going back to the starting line for a restart. Meanwhile, I've been doing a few calculations here with the results from race number 6, and it seems a little one change here from the second and third overall. So the Russians, Pavel and Denis, now second overall. From the Swedes, Anton and Frederick, and third. Still the Spanish leading the overall standings with 14 points. Following these 3 teams is the Portuguese, now 1 point behind both Swedish and Russian. So it's very tight between the top 4. So Spanish 14 points, Russian and Swedish with 21, and the Portuguese on 22. And finishing the top 5 is the Greek team. I made a mistake before. I thought they were 5th on that race, but actually it was Vasilis and Ioannis that finished 5th on that first race. And Panagiotis and Pavlos, they were 14th, and they dropped a little bit on the points. But they're still 5th. They were 5th and they're still 5th. And also the Swiss finishing 13 this morning, still 6th overall, now on 39 points. And it's important to see this difference between the Portuguese and the Swiss. I remind you that this is qualification for the last slot for the Olympics. Portuguese now gaining a few points on the Swiss. They are now 17 points ahead of the Swiss. The next team yet to qualify for the Olympics is the Israeli Maor Yoav on 49 points. It's getting harder for these teams now as the Portuguese have a big lead.
Acho que é só mais esta e mais outra das raparigas.
So we're gonna go back to the starting procedure as soon as the race committee decide if they want to make a small change on the course or if they want to keep it as it is. We have about 6 knots average on the race course. I'm trying hard here to try and get all the information for you. The wind is coming from 200, so it's confirmed that the wind has gone a little bit to the left during that first race. I remind you, we started with 23240. Now we have 200. See here the Portuguese, they are doing a great job. They finished second in race number 6. The local heroes, AP is going down now, 6 minutes for the start. We can see here our international race officer, Portuguese Miguel Amaral. He's been our race officer here in Vilamoura for most of the regattas, together with our PRO Nino Shmueli from Israel. Very strong race management team we've got in Vilamoura.
No Oscar for men.
I just got the information there will be no Oscar flag, so the sailors will not be allowed any pumping or rocking during the race.
Three, two, one.
That's the 5-minute gun now for the start. I appreciate all your messages on the chat on the YouTube channel. We have Miguel there, always trying to have some wind readings, making sure we have the best course set for the sailors, for this fleet, to give them a fair race. We can see here the course for race number 7 for the men. Upwind leg to mark number 1, a reach with the spinnaker to mark number 2, then they're barroway on a downwind leg for the leeward gate 3S, and they can choose between 3S or 3P to go back upwind to mark number 2 again. And once they hoist the spinnaker on mark number 2, they'll go all the way down through 3P and through the finish. I have some messages here making me laugh. Graham Bailey, thank you for your comments. I have to say I'm having a great time here doing these comments for you. It's my first time. My name is Pedro Andrade. I am a dragon sailor, but I'm here from Portugal, and I know this race course. I have been racing here many times. I'm trying to help here to give you guys good reading, good understanding of what's going on. Thank you, Graham, for your nice comments, and Scotty. So this is the pre-start for the men's fleet, race number 7. We have about 6 knots on the race course from 2:00. U flag is up, less than 4 minutes to go. Nice view here over the landscape from Vilamoura, Praia da Rocha. It's a very famous beach. Hopefully will be crowded this summer and with no restrictions. Hopefully life can go back to normal. Conditions are perfect today for these teams. Steadier breeze. Vilamoura offers such a variety of conditions. Yesterday we had gusty conditions, very puffy from the land. A lot of changes in the positions, a lot of opportunities to overtake. Today much steadier breeze from the south, from the sea, 200 degrees. Thermal wind. We will see what will be the best option on this first leg, if it's going to be the left with more pressure, or if the wind is going to swing a little bit back to the right. If that's the case, the boats that take the right hand side of the course can take an advantage on the shift. Big fight here on the committee boat. See the Swedes there squeezing the French.
40 seconds to go.
40 seconds for the start. The Russians, they are second overall now. Same points with the Swedes. Just the lowered. 3 boats the lowered of the Swede.
Everyone is approaching the starting line.
Not far for the start.
15 seconds to the
15
gun.
seconds.
And 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Oh, it looks tight.
1.
It looks like they pushed the line and it's a general recall. General recall. We will have to restart this race. Many teams over the line. Miguel could not identify all the boats. We're going back into a new starting sequence. Little view here from the leeward side. You can see the boats that started in the middle a little bit bow forward on the rest of the fleet. Everyone's pushing the line very hard. Hopefully we will go straight back into another procedure. We're all keen to see another race.
The general recall flag.
So just to reply here, some questions on the chat. The countries fighting for the Olympic spot is Portugal, Switzerland, Israel, Germany, Hungary, Austria. At the moment, the Portuguese are looking good. They are doing a great job. They are 4th overall, just 1 point behind the Russians and the Swedes. 8 points behind the lead. We were gonna go into a small break, but our race officer doing a great job here, going straight into another starting procedure. We want to get these fleets going. That's 5 minutes there. That's the 5-minute gun.
não consegue dar uma largada? Tens coisa, sabe? Se vês que os gajos estão fora, dás bocadinho de dor à frente, que é para fechar a linha à frente.
I can hear on the background some our guys setting up the line. They want to see these guys going quickly. It's a long day. 2 races planned for today. First race is already gone. We see here the Portuguese checking the wind, checking where's the bias at that starting line. Great performance from our local team. Oh, they are from Oporto, further north, but sailing and racing here on their own country for these World Championships. They want to look good. They want to show. They want to show all of us here in Portugal that we still have some good sailors. We only have 1 team qualified for the Olympics so far in the 49er men class. That's Jorge Lima and José Costa. And now we have here the Costa brothers. They're not related to José from the 49er. The Costa brothers here in the 470 class. We have a black flag here for the start. That was 4 minutes. That means that whoever crosses the line in the last minute, they will be automatically disqualified for the race. So hopefully we will see the fleet a little bit more careful now. It's a big risk to push the line under this rule. Thank you, Laurie, for answering the question here on the YouTube channel. Miguel is gave the sailors a second chance to start, but they didn't take it, so he had to go for a black flag, hoping that the sailors will behave a little bit better now on this start, not push so much. Meanwhile, all the other fleets are waiting because they will start after the men's fleet. Give them plenty of time to relax, to have a little bite. This is our man Miguel Amaral with Pinar from Turkey, watching everything that's going on the race course, making sure there's any changes on the conditions. They can spot it and be ahead of the game.
Black flag on, and there's no tolerance for going over the line. There's no forgiveness with this flag. So any sailor that goes above the line inside of the 1 minute will get disqualified. 7 seconds to black flag to 1 minute.
Just over a minute to go. That's
minute.
it. 1 minute for the start. We see here the fleet's a little bit further away from the line, playing safe. It looks quite square, this line. Nice job from our race officer. I can't really tell from here if there's any bias on this line. Looking at the fleet, looks like they're keen to start here on the committee boat. Maybe there's a little bias here on this side. They can see better than us, obviously. The Italians squeezing here. The Americans have no right to get in that slot. If the Italians are able to shut the door there. So all these boats here to windward of the Italians are just hoping to have an opportunity to get in there.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That was close. That was close. We are gonna see if there was Any boats called over the line. Oh, those Italians, they could not take there onto port. The English were coming on starboard. That looked like a foul. Yeah, from this angle it looks like the committee side was biased. And we can see the boats quite high on starboard compared to the line. See the Austrians tacking there, nowhere near any of the boats coming on starboard on the other side. We can see Spanish numbers over there, just the backside of that Swiss number 8. I will confirm if there was any boats over the line on that last minute. The boat's heading upwind now, most of the teams heading to the left. Looking for better pressure on the left hand side. I don't think the wind will turn left more than that. It was already 200. Here is the view from the right hand side of the course. Hungarians pushing the right hand side. See the Great Britain boat there, number 4. They were involved in a little incident with the Italians at the start, but they got away with it. See the Swedes also, Hungarians here working really hard. It doesn't look like there's any Oscar flag, so they're not allowed to pump the boats. The Swedish looking good. They didn't have the best first race. They were 9th actually on the first race, so still a counter. They were discarding a 15th, so they still discard that one. They counted their 9th this morning, and they're now 21 points. Tied with the Russians, also on 21. A nice spread here over the race course. So Brazilians tacking there onto starboard, not a great start from them. Hungarians going into attack. Let's see what's the attacking angle. Now we're back into the left hand side of the course. The Turkish looking good in that position. Also the Spanish, not bad. It's hard to tell which side's gonna pay. Spanish going for attack. I believe that's the Spanish. Hard for me to see from here, but some Germans also pushing here the left hand side. I see some comments here, big right shift. I'm not sure there's such a big right shift at the moment. I think there was a nice bias on the committee boat, that's why they were all fighting for it. You can see the Swedes here in a very good position in this race number 7, leg 1 men's fleet. We have here 4 boats a little bit spread from the fleet. They're going back to the right now. Our cameraman now moving a little forward. Hopefully we'll be able to see here which side's paying. Very nice conditions in Vilamoura. No wonder all these teams, most of these teams, are choosing to stay in Vilamoura for the winter for their Olympic preparation. Now we're getting a better angle here on the front of the fleet. Hard to tell if those boats on the far right are ahead or behind these boats here on the left. But they look quite high, so on starboard here, so could be that the right hand side is paid. Japanese tacking. For 70 World Championships in Vilamoura. Race number 7. We have 4 boats. Very tight in points in the front. Spain 44, RYF 5, Sweden 349 and Portugal 21. All separated by 8 points. At the moment is the Spanish team leading the fleet in the overall scores. Let's see how they do on this race number 7. Taking there, nice technique. Turkish and German also taking, following the Spanish. Spain 44, that's our leader, overall leader of the World Championships. Jordi Chamar and Nicolas Rodriguez. We're about halfway up this first beat of race number 7. It's all happening here in Vilamoura for the 470 class. It's the World Championships. It seems that those boats on the right hand side have done better than the boats on the left, but again, our angles are not the best. As good as the sailors, it's hard to get the right angle and see all the boats. But now they will be converging to the top mark, getting close. More compact fleet. Figure out who is actually leading after this first beat. I put my money on the boats on the right hand side at the moment. I remind you that there was a committee bias. Most of the boats taking the committee side of the starting line, going for an early tack and then coming back to protect the fleet, but mostly playing the right hand side of the course. See the Greece number 1 Panagiotis and Pavlos, 5th overall at the moment on 36 points. USA 1 crossing the fleet on port. See how many boats going to be ahead of them. USA 1, Stuart McNay, David Hughes. They're on 44 points. I believe 7th overall, or 7th or 8th overall. We have here the Swedes looking good. Swedes are having a good race here. They'll be challenging the Spanish for the overall. After this race, they are 7 points behind. So they need a bullet here, and they need the Spanish to finish a little bit further back to challenge their lead. And the Austrians here to windward of the Swedes, also in a good position. I haven't seen the Portuguese yet on this race. See the Greeks there tacking close to the ley line. I just have the information that the women's fleet had a general recall. The Austrians taking on the Swedes, as Austrians looking like they're leading the race at the moment. Swedes went for a double tack. Yes, they were on the ley line, so it's the Austrians leading the race. Nicolas Kampelmüller and Thomas Scheischka. I'm sorry if I'm not spelling the names correctly, but that's the Austrians, followed by the Swedes, Anton and Frederick. Seems like the Americans going to round the mark. 3rd, Stuart McNay, David Hughes. 3rd place, France, number 12. 4th, and the Russians on 5th. Oh, here we go for the brothers, Costa brothers. Again, a good first beat, 6 around the mark, 7 for the Turkish, 8 for the Greek. The Turkish doing a turn there. They must have done something wrong. They have to take the penalty. Oh, the Spanish, they didn't have the best beat here, really far back. And they finished 19th on the last race yesterday. They cannot give away too many points here. This is crucial for them. Oh, the Turkish 890, they did something wrong. They had to go for a penalty, and they're still there doing their turns. Here we are. We have all this, all the boats going down on the reach now to mark number 2. This is the front of the fleet. We can see Austrians still leading from the Swedes. We see here all boats reaching to mark number 2. It's leg 2 of race 7, men's fleet. Have the Austrians leading the race. They were 11th this morning. They were actually 23rd overall before the first race this morning, with 11 and a first if they manage to finish this race ahead of the fleet. That will be a big improvement, but they have the Swedes right behind them. Swedes challengers for this world title. They will have to do a great job to stay ahead of the Swedes. Anton and Frederick from Sweden, they will be looking to take this opportunity to get close to the Spanish, if not even take the lead overall after this race. The Russians were not that far behind. I believe they were about 5th or 6th in this race. Portuguese team also looking good after mark number 1. They were 6th around the mark. Nice comments here. I'm just reading some comments, nice ones from our spectators. It's good. You guys keep me motivated here. Well, I actually don't need that much motivation. It's such a great opportunity here to follow these World Championships live on our YouTube channel for Vilamoura Sailing. Oh, that's my rib there. Covering the mark roundings with a camera under the water. I'm sure there will be very nice images from that camera. So the Americans also looking fast here, trying to get closer to the Swedes. We have the Russians coming on 4th and the French are 5th. The French overtook the Portuguese on this reach. Very compact here, the fleet. Behind the Portuguese, I believe that's the Greek team. Couldn't tell. Italy 757 winners of race number 6. Inside the top 10 on this race 7. Good performance today for the Italians. They must be really motivated after Luna Rossa winning that second race in the America's Cup this morning, making it even with the Emirates Team New Zealand. They are now 1-1. Going to be looking forward to see the next 2 races in a couple of days. I have a question here about Russia sailing under the letters RYF. And I don't have enough information to answer you that.
Ok. Vamos com este grupinho.
Our next cameraman is driving downwind to see the front of the fleet, but now we have a nice view over the Spanish. Not looking great on this race. Here we are back in the front. Austrians pulling away from the Swedes. And the Americans, they went a little higher to try and take the Swedes' wind, interfere with their wind. That might have slowed down the Swedes, gave the Austrians, Nikolaus and Thomas, a chance to improve their lead a little bit. Most of the boats didn't jibe on this downwind. They're all kept Onde está, but
Vamos fazer até chegar primeiro, Ivo.
nice shot here from windward, looking at those boats going downwind as well. With Kevin Pepone there. The Japanese are going to be the hosts for the next Olympics. That's a fast camera boat here, as we can see. Wonder if they could follow the America's Cup boats as well. We're getting closer to the leeward gate. Americans driving, Swedes also driving, protecting their position. Still clear winds from the US boat, I believe. You can see the Portuguese also went for a jibe. There we can see them behind the Americans. I have here the results for race number 6 on the mixed teams. Provisional results was Spain 8, followed by GBR 11 and Spain 28. Just double check that. But yes, Spain 8 won the race number 6 of the mixed teams, followed by GBR 11 and Spain 21 in third. USA 1834 was fourth. Israel 311 fifth. Italy 75 was sixth. Israel 15-7. GBR 889 8th. France number 7 was 9th, and Spain 4 was 10th in that race for the mixed teams. I'm sure all our website will be updated soon. You'll be able to take a look at that online. For the moment, we are following the men's fleet on race number 7. They're down to leg 3. Yes, Odysseus, this is the first downwind for the men. They are doing the outer loop course. That means that they started upwind to the top mark number 1, and then straight to a reach to mark number 2, around that mark and downwind to the leeward gate 3S, 3P. They will then go back upwind. They are actually going downwind to that gate, and then they will go back up to mark number 2, where they're gonna hoist the spinnakers again and rip downwind back to that gate and straight to the finish. Little update here, BF black flag for the men's fleet. France 12. Thomas and Corentin from France. They were over the line. They were black flagged on race number 7 for the men. And we also have a couple of teams black flag on the women fleet. That was Turkey 21 and Swiss 5. Turkey 21 and Swiss 5. Swiss 5 is Linda and Maya. Turkey 21, Deniz and Lalin also over the line, also black flagged on race number 7. They also had some general recalls. So our race officer Miguel from Portugal and Pinar from Turkey. Pinar is actually going to be the race officer in the Olympics. She's here helping the race management team getting ready for the Olympics. You can see here the Swedes staying ahead of the Americans. They're second now, going downwind behind the Austrians. We have about 6 knots average on the race course from 200. But it looks might have dropped a little bit, the wind. Here we have the Austrians leading the pack. I don't know why I'm talking like this, they cannot hear me. I'm sitting here in the office, watching at the screens, trying to find all the angles that will give you the best perspective of this race. At the moment, the Austrians doing a great job, staying ahead of the fleet, staying ahead of the Swedes. The Swedes now lying 3rd overall on the same points as the Russians, and 7 points behind the Spanish. But the Spanish, they didn't have the best start on this race, so they went to the left. The left didn't pay. They pushed the left very hard. The left didn't pay. Ended up going around the top mark in the back of the pack.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Here we have the Austrians and the Swedes just a little bit further back. So big opportunity here for the Swedes to make a move on the overall scoreboard. They'll have to be watching for those Russians. They are not that far behind them. They were 5th around the mark, or 4th around the mark. It's only 2 points behind. The Spanish will be desperate to overtake a few boats and cut this damage here, as the other teams are, or the other 3 teams from the top 4 are all up there. Looks like we have a sound signal here. Could be the Oscar flag or just a change of course. I will find out. It's a change of course. We can see there the sea. Austrians taking the right hand mark, looking downwind. Here we go. Swedes looking for a split. But it looks like the Austrians have a good lead over the Swedes here. I wonder if the Austrians will go straight into attack and do a little cover here as the Swedes take the other mark. The Americans taking the same mark as the Austrians. And the Russians, we see boats, the teams choosing both marks. Could be that there's not a big bias on this gate. Hard to see from this angle, but Portuguese now, they lost a little bit. I believe they lost another place downwind here to the Italians. The Italians looking really good. They won the first race. They having a nice second race as well. This is the front of the fleet again. Those Turkish, they lost so much on that top mark. They had a penalty. They had to do some turns. Pires brothers also across, going downwind. Not looking great. Hungary going across around the right hand gate, looking downwind. It's obviously your left hand mark on your screen. The fleet is more compact here. With patience going around that mark. He hasn't performed that well this week. So far we see the Spanish, they're still coming downwind. The Austrians look very confident on this left-hand side. The Swedes, they took the other mark going right on the race course. And the Austrians didn't bother attacking to cover them, so they're really confident on this left-hand side. But I believe they came from the right on the first beat. We will see when they attack if they're going to be able to get across the Swedes, keep their lead or not. I have the feeling that the Swedes are quite high on the other side, but can only tell after the attack. Here they go. That's the moment of truth.
Yeah.
We will see later if the Austrians are still ahead of the Swedes or not. Meanwhile, we can have a little look here further back in the fleet. The Spanish, desperate to get some points. They don't want to give away so many points. Here on race number 7, they were 7 points ahead of the Russians and the Swedes. They're gonna lose a few points here. They don't have a very good discard. They were 19th yesterday on the last race. And they go for attack. That was close to the Great Britain team, 55. Martin and Alexander. Shortly we will see also the women's fleet coming downwind across the men's fleet. Oh, sorry, my mistake. They are doing the inner loop. So they will be going downwind from mark number 1 to the gate. Here the Austrians here to windward of the Swedes. They might have given away the lead to the Swedes, but the Swedes didn't go across the Austrians, so that could mean that they couldn't cross, and they want to keep protecting the right hand side until they're absolutely sure they can cross ahead of the Austrians. The Americans making a move on the left hand side. They didn't want to follow the Swedes and the Austrians to the right. They want to try and get the bullet here. We also see the Portuguese on port deck there, going across the right hand side. They'll be looking to overtake the Russians, as they were just 1 point behind them. Austria 17, Nicolas Kampmüller, Thomas Kajka leading the race, and here we go to the Italians. They won the first race today. We have a little problem with our camera, but our operator is giving us some footage from his mobile phone. Correction here, he just covered the top mark rounding with his mobile phone. Now he's back into this camera. We see the Portuguese there, they're tacking underneath another boat. See if they can manage to stay ahead of that boat. I believe the Swedish, they did overtake the Austrians. They're looking good there on the left side of your screen. The question is if they're laying the mark already, or if they overstood. Austrians here trying to stay ahead of the Swedes. This will be a big result for the Swedes, considering that the Spanish are not doing so well. See here the Russians going across. They seem to be quite fast up when they're getting closer to the front of the fleet, I believe. They did really well yesterday with a 6 and a 1. And then with another 6 this morning, they moved into second place with the same points as the Swedes. But with the Swedes now ahead of them, the Swedes will get that second place back, if not even the first, depending on the Spanish. Spain 44, with a lot of work to do in the middle of the pack. They're trying to get some points. Trying to get some information from the other fleets as well. Keep you guys updated. The moment here we go to the other camera. We have the Portuguese. They were further right on the course. They were trying to hit the right hand side of the course. Diogo Costa and Pedro Costa, Portugal 21, fighting for a place in the Olympics. Former 420 world champions. Doing a great job now in the 470 class. They're a big Portuguese hope for the Olympics. If they manage to get this spot, they will keep working hard. They have the talent, they have the will, they can do it. I believe the Americans, they were working on the left-hand side of the course. We don't have images on the left-hand side of the course for the moment, but I'm pretty sure we will find out how did that go on the left-hand side. Here the Austrians going a bit higher than the Swedes. Could be that the Swedes overstood a little bit. And if that's the case, then the Austrians will be able to hold their lead. Question is, can the Austrians lay the mark from where they are? We'll soon find out. This is the front of the fleet of race 7, leg 4 of 6, men's fleet, Vilamoura 2021 World Championships. It's all happening here. The Swedes are working hard. I can see those, the front of that jeep from the Austrians sometimes flapping a little bit. They might be pushing the height. Try to leap out. The Swedes try to get close to them. No, they're not making the mark. They decided to go for attack. They're on port now. They'll have to dip the Swedes. Swedes attacking in front of them. So this is a change of leader on race number 7. But we still have the Americans as well. They were on the left-hand side of the course. But if we haven't seen them yet, I'm afraid they haven't made a move on these two. With that double tech from the Austrians, that probably means they're really close to lay. We have the Russians to lower of the Austrians. They were 4th around the gate. I'm watching your messages, guys. The Swedes now taking back. Oh, double tech there. We're getting worried with the Austrians. Double tech to cover, to give them some bad air. Austrians going for a double tech as well. I wonder where the Americans are. Getting close to the mark number 2. We're going to be hoisting the spinnaker. Oh, I see the Americans further back there. They lost a little bit. It's very tight here between 1st and 2nd in this race. 3rd place, the Russians coming to the top mark. We could be seeing also a change of leader overall after this race, with the Spanish further back in this fleet. So that was the Russians were 3rd around the mark. Portuguese going for attack in front of the Americans. So it's Diogo and Pedro Costa around the top mark. Behind the Russians, just ahead of the Americans. They're 4th now. Americans are 5th. It looked like those guys, they sailed away from the fleet. Portuguese having a nice upwind leg, overtaking the Americans and the Italians. Italy 757. Having a great day today, winning the first race, and now also 6 around this mark, followed by the Hungarians. Hungarians also having a nice day. They finished 4th in the first race, now are 7th. The wind's dropping a little bit. It's quite light here. Oops. It felt like the French were trying to sneak in there. A little bit tight. But they managed to get through, go around that mark ahead of the Greek. Panagiotis and Pavlos. We're gonna wait to see where the Spanish are before we get to the head of the fleet. I believe I saw them just there on the ley line, coming now on starboard. I haven't counted how many boats around the mark, but doesn't look like the Spanish managed to improve their position in this race. The Pires brothers, they overtook a few boats. I believe they were not that good on the downwind leg. Here they come, the Spanish, having a shocking race here. It's going to be very expensive. I see here 5 boats behind them at the moment. Another one 6, and whoever is coming from the right, from our right-hand side. Here we go, back to the front of the fleet. Leg 5 of 6. Swedish are leading. They overtook the Austrians on that second upwind leg, on leg number 4. A little bit of separation between the second and the third on this race, and even bigger between the third and the fourth. Third is the Russians. Russian team, Pavel and Denis. With the third place in this race. So the Swedes, if they manage to stay in front of the Austrians and win this race, they will be 22 points after 7 races. And the Russians, keeping their third, will be 24. I wonder where are the Spanish going to finish. But they were 14 points before this race. And their discard was a 19th. So if they are worse than that, they will be 30 points after this race. From 7 points ahead to 8 points behind the lead. Also the Portuguese with the 4th. They will be 26 points. They could even be ahead of the Spanish after this race. But more important than that, they will consolidate their position on the fight for the Olympic slot. The one Olympic spot left for grabs. As the Portuguese are now beating the Swiss and the Israelis and the Germans in this race as well, they will improve their lead on this fight for the Olympic qualification. I can see some political comments here from Jorge Heredia. Our sailors, Diogo and Pedro Costa, have the same name as our Prime Minister. I have an update here on the downwind rounding for the women. It was Italy, Spain and Switzerland. I'm not sure the sail numbers, but it was one of the Italian teams leading the race from the Spanish, and followed by the Swiss. Very close racing here between the Swedes and the Austrians. The Austrians were leading and the Swedes made a move. The Austrians now looking to try and get that lead back. It's a good opportunity for them to win a race. The Swedes won race number 2, looking for a second bullet in this series. The Austrians, they look quite fast, but we have to remember that they're both on port. They're both, sorry, my mistake, both on starboard. So the Austrians need to get clear ahead of the Swedes to be able to jibe and get across. There's no second discard on this series, it's just one discard. The Swedes look like they have it under control, as the Austrians cannot go for a jibe. They lose the right of way if they go for a jibe. Well, they don't have right of way here. Also, the windward boat. They have to keep clear from the Swedes. They're trying to give the Swedes some interference, and I think they are just managing to do that. They're going for the jibe. A good jibe from the Austrians. They could get the inside on the Swedes. Mistake there by the Swedes. They didn't manage to respond to the Austrians. Great move from the Austrians. The Swedes, they should have anticipated that move and jibe before the Austrians, before they took their wind. But it's not over yet. We have to see where that mark is, that leeward mark is. Find out soon. Our cameraman's gonna give us the perspective on the course. But the Austrians, they get their lead back on race number 7. Leg 5, not that far to go to finish the race. We can see the Russians on the left side of the screen. They were coming third in this race number 7. They're also looking at this fight. We can see here now they're still not laying the marks, so it will crucial the next jibe. The Austrians will wait for the Swedes to make the move. If the Swedes leave it late, then the Austrians will make the move for the jibe. They will be fighting for the inside rights on this mark. So the Swedes take the initiative on the jibe. They will be looking to try and cover the Austrians' wind. But the Austrians have inside rights. It's all happening here. As our race officer said the other day, commentating the America's Cup is dramatic. Austrians leading from the Swedes. The Swedes didn't manage to make a move on the Austrians here on these final moments of race 7. We have the Russians going around the last mark, third, followed by the Portuguese, I believe. Portuguese managing to keep their fourth on this downwind leg. The previous downwind they didn't manage so well. They lost 2 places, but they got those 2 places back on the second beat. We can see the Americans now approaching the mark as well, coming down 5th place in race number 7. We're back to the front of the fleet, approaching the finishing line. The Austrians did a great job. I mean, it must have been hard to keep these Swedes behind. I mean, they are fighting for the championship. The Austrians were 23rd overall this morning. They had an 11th place, and now it's a bullet for Austria. Well done, Nicholas and Thomas. winning a race in the World Championships 2021 for 70 men, followed by the Swedes. The Italians here, they won the first race. They're looking good here. They're looking for maybe a 6th or 7th in this race. The Greek also had a good race, a good first race. They were 5th in the first race and another top 10. I haven't counted the boats that went around this mark yet, just to try and find out where are the Spanish, how expensive this will be for them. We are going to go now for our cameraman on the water to interview the winners of race number 7, the Austrians. They did a great job. They deserve this moment of fame. I can see the Spain 44 just behind these spinnakers there. They didn't take many places. Here we are with the winners now for you.
So guys, congratulations. Was it a hard victory to get?
Yes, very hard. Was a fight till the last second.
With these light wind conditions, what did you think?
Yeah, it fits us a bit better than the heavy wind, so we enjoyed sailing, and yeah, I'm happy.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. Congratulations once again.
So that was our winners of race number 7, the Austrians. Obviously happy faces winning the race number 7. They didn't do so well when the wind was up. Now the wind a little bit lighter. They managed 11th place on the first race today and a 1st on the second race. That will show on the scoreboard for sure. At the end of the day, we can see the Spanish here on the left hand side of your screen, desperate to get some places here. Their discard before this race was a 19th. The question is, are they doing better than that? Definitely now it's game on for the World Championships. For the other teams, they were looking so strong. Finish here. 5 boats just ahead of that, of the Spanish. Not many boats behind them. I can count only 4 from here. There's another 2 there. I'm not sure they improved that discard. They must be close to 19th in this race. We will have an update on our website on the overall scores for the men. Meanwhile, women still racing, and also the mixed teams. I believe the mixed teams are close to mark number 1 going into the reach. The women's team already coming downwind for the final, for the second last leg. Great sailing in Vilamoura today. Full program so far. We had 3 races in the first day, 2 races yesterday, 2 races today. So 7 races now. And tomorrow we will be sailing another 2 races. Here, beautiful view over the entrance for the marina of Vilamoura. This is a little video from the Laser Europeans that we had here in Vilamoura, and after that we will try to give you a little bit of footage over the mixed teams. Try to see what's going on with their fleet. We will be back shortly. Here we are back in the race course, following the mixed teams fleet. I hope you guys can still see a little bit of this action. Mixed teams. We didn't predict this, but we had the opportunity to follow them, so here we are. We will try to figure out what's going on here. I believe it's leg 3 of the mixed fleet, race 7. We see here the Spanish team. Oops. Just missed that main sheet there. Maria Bover and Fernando Rodriguez from Spain. They look to be leading this race here. Yes, Spain 8 leading the pack. USA 1834, I believe they were second around the course, and GBR 875 they were third. We will try to get more information. Update on the women's results. Nikos, I don't have it yet. I will double check, try to give you as much information as I can access here. I have the results from the men's fleet, the race number 7. The Spanish were 21st on that race, so that means we will be looking at a change of leader overall on the men's fleet. It's now the Swedes leading the overall scores in front of the Russians, and I believe even the Portuguese now are third overall. The Spanish dropped from first to fourth, but this is all provisional. We will have to confirm this when they update the website with all the scores. I believe the women are still sailing downwind to the finish. I remind you, they also had a couple of general recalls, so the gap between the men and the women was big. We'll have to wait for an update on the women. Here we are following the mixed teams. Spain 8, Maria Bover, Fernando Rodriguez. They also won race number 6, and they are winning race number 7. They really stepped up their game, this Spanish team. They were 16th overall after 5 races. They obviously they are light wind experts. They didn't do so well when the wind was up, and now with 2 bullets on today's races. I mean, of course they haven't finished yet, but look at that lead. They're looking really good. Race number 1 mixed teams, it was Spain 8 from GBR 11 from Spain 28. GBR 7 going around the mark there. It looks like the fleet is quite compact from second on. Spain 28 going now around the mark. They were third on the first race today. Have 20 teams fighting for the World Championship on the mixed class. It's the first World Championships for a mixed class in the 470. This will be the next Olympic discipline for 2024. Most of these teams are young teams. There will be a lot of teams, mixed teams, coming from the men and the women's classes after the Olympics. Again, a little shot from the front of the fleet. The Spanish just cruising downwind, leading totally under control, with Praia da Rocha on the back of the screen. Famous Portuguese beach, this beautiful Algarve, south coast of Portugal, where the sun shines most of the day. We're back with the mixed teams race, trying to figure out here. We see France 72, looks like they're second in the race. Now we still have the GBR team there, 875 to lowered. They're looking like a good position for second. Also the Spanish 28. Yes, Spain 8 is further downwind. We can see on the right hand side of our screen. Israel 121, is that correct? We had more teams here on the right hand side of our screen that I couldn't see. This is the final race of the day, race number 7, leg 5. I believe it's leg 5. Spain 8 leading the fleet after winning the first race of the day as well. Looks like they're going to finish the day with 2 bullets from 16th overall this morning, winning 2 races. That has got to help them climb up the ladder. They have also GBR 11 just there. This perspective doesn't show exactly if this GBR team is second at the moment. I have here the results from race 7 women. It looks like Camille from France. Camille and Aloise, they won the last race of the day, followed by Switzerland 5. Linda and Maya, second in that last race today. Third place was Carmen and Emma Cowles. Great day for the Americans today. They won the first race in third on the second race. Be a great improvement for their overall scores. And then we had the Dutch team, Netherlands 11, fourth on race number 7. Followed by Germany 20 on 5th place, and the overall leaders on 6th place, Spain 18. This is what I have for now. Everything else you will have to take a look at the website once the updates become available. Spain 8, finally, after so many requests from our spectators, we are able to show you a little bit of footage on the mixed fleet for these World Championships. And right now, the team to talk about is Maria Bover from Real Club Náutico Palma, crewed by Fernando Rodrigues from Arenal, from Club Náutico Arenal, both from Mallorca. These Mallorquins doing a great job in this light stuff. 2 bullets. They will remember this day for a long time. Hopefully we will be able to ask them a few questions when they get back to the shore, and you'll be able to see that on our webpage, some interviews on some of the sailors. GBR 11 looking good here for a second on this race number 7. That's a great shot. The sun is coming down a little bit. See a bit of a reflex from the sun on the water. Beautiful day, nice and warm. Light winds, but perfect conditions. Hopefully we will have a big variety of sailing conditions during the whole week here in Vilamoura. See if we can find Italy 54. They were leading this morning. Followed by Great Britain 7 after 5 races. It was Italy 54 from GBR 7 from Israel 311. But now with 2 more races, it could be totally different. For 70 World Championships 2021, Vilamoura offering the best sailing conditions. 7 races complete after 3 days. Wind from the north on the first couple of days, coming from the land, shifty and gusty. Today, wind from the sea, more steady, a little lighter. This is what the sailors need, variety of conditions, so that we find out who are the better prepared teams for all conditions. So this is the final race of the day. The men and the women already on their way back to the marina. Mixed fleet on the final moments of this race number 7. The women had finished already their race. All teams now sailing downwind towards the leeward gate to go around 3P. That's the number of that mark, 3P. Onto a port reach. Short one to the finish. Spain 8, still leading the pack. Thank you everybody for watching all this racing today, all the action from these three fleets. I hope it was easy to understand what's going on in the water. The sailing is not the easiest sport to follow, as the boats, they spread out on the race course. Spectacular images, but sometimes a bit hard to understand, but we're trying to give you the best information, keep you updated, show all the angles. Amazing performance from this young team from Spain, Maria and Fernando, winning the first race today, and with a nice lead. This is the next mark. They're gonna go for a jibe soon to get around this mark and then reach to the finish. They're followed by GBR 11, I believe. That's the jibe. A little collapse on the spinnaker, but the wind's quite light. Not easy to keep it flying through the jibe. Great stuff. The Spanish team in the 470 class looking really strong, with good results in all three classes. Light conditions in Vilamoura, 6 knots, perfect for this World Championships in the 470 class. ESP 8. What a performance today. Well done, Maria and Fernando, winning both races of the day, showing their speciality in the light stuff. I'm sure they're gonna improve their game on the windy conditions as well. Well done, Maria and Fernando. What a day. We will try to get an interview on them on the water. We are not able to do an interview on the water, but I'm sure I'll be able to catch them when they get to the harbor. I want to hear from them what was so special about their performance today. We will be looking at the Marina of Vilamoura now. Some shots from the drone getting organized for you so you can see the setup that we have here. Beautiful marina here. Best setup that we can get for such an event. A big wide slipway, lots of room for parking all the boats, very close to the race course. And we are gonna be now gone for the day. It was a pleasure to be here. My name is Pedro Andrade, and we will be back here tomorrow for the next 2 races. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much.